Hello and welcome back to a new video. So a couple of people have asked me whether or not law school changes you, and it's something that I had kind of thought about before I started law school, and I've been kind of thinking about it a little bit lately, maybe because I'm going to be graduating in a couple of months. So I thought I would make a video for you guys, and I'm just going to talk about how I think about myself now, how I see things now versus how I was or how I saw myself 3 years ago. So if that sounds interesting to you, then just keep watching. So long story short, yes, I do think that law school does change you. Do I think that it changes you in a bad or a good way? It always depends on your perspective, but I do find a couple of different things about myself different now than when I started law school. The first one is I think being in law school has made me more aware about and more kind of informed about politics. I've never been somebody who was particularly interested in politics, and I never really paid much attention to current events. And I find myself now listening to the news sometimes, and I'm reading the news, and I like kind of being on top of things. I know a little bit more about politics now, and I kind of stay informed more than I used to. I mean, I don't know if this is a law school thing. I go to school in Canada's capital, so it could be that I'm influenced by the political nature of the city. And it also could be that I'm just older. I think as you age, you get more interested in current events and in what's happening in the world because it affects you more. You know, you're making your own life decisions, and that stuff impacts you more than when you're younger. So I don't know that it's law school per se that actually changed me, but I have noticed that shift since being in law school. Kind of related to the first one, but a little bit different. Another way that I do think that law school has changed me is I think I'm more informed about how the world works and kind of more specifically how the justice system works. Again, this could be because I'm older and I've just had more experiences. With age comes some sort of wisdom, I'm hoping. But I think law school and education in general has really taught me that some of the assumptions that I have about the world and about the justice system and about how things work are not necessarily accurate. I think when you grow up, you kind of believe that everything is right or wrong, it's good or bad, and as you age, you realize that the world is just kind of one big gray area. It's not as simple as you're kind of made to believe when you're younger. At least I was. That's not to say that it's all bad. It's definitely not. And it doesn't mean that change isn't possible, because it absolutely is. But I think law school has made me realize, and again, education in general, that I need to understand my place in society. I need to be able to recognize the privilege that I have and how that kind of affects the opportunities that I've had, the experiences that I've had, and the decisions that I've made. You should never let your own experiences make you ignorant of the experiences of other people. You know, just because something hasn't happened to me or I don't understand something doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't happen to other people. And it doesn't mean that just because it hasn't happened to me that it won't, or that even if it doesn't, that I shouldn't still understand it and be informed about it and know enough to make informed decisions and to speak out when I need to. I think that kind of awareness of your own privilege and where you stand in society is so important. The world is not necessarily what you thought it was, and it's not for good or for bad. It's just different, and you have to be informed and understand that things aren't quite as simple as you might have thought that they were. I don't know if that made any sense at all. I really hope so. The third thing that I would say is being in law school and being in the legal profession in general, it's very difficult to remain humble. Law is a very hierarchical profession, and like when you first get into law school, you're taught that you're the best of the best. You're the smartest, most hardworking, and you got here because there's something special about you. It's easy to start thinking that you are superior to other people, that you got in because there is something about you that makes you better. I hate to break it to you, but there isn't. I've never been the most overconfident person in the world, but I also, was taught by my parents, and I'm extremely grateful every day for this, taught to be humble, that no matter what success you achieve in your life, always remember how you got there, where you came from, and who helped you get there. I think that gratitude is what separates confidence from arrogance. And I never ever want to be the kind of person that thinks that they are better than anybody else. And I think in this profession, we shouldn't think that, because we're here to help other people. You know, we are in a service industry. I want my clients to find me approachable. I want them to think, you know, maybe I haven't gone through the same thing that they're currently going through, but I am not judging them. I am not sitting here from, I mean, obviously I'm sitting here from a place that's different from theirs, and possibly a place of privilege, or a different kind of privilege than they experience. But I want them to understand that I am going to do the best that I can, and that there's no judgment here. I'm not sitting here thinking down upon them in any way. And I'm not saying that every single lawyer thinks that they're so wonderful or anything like that, but I do think it is a very hierarchical industry, and it's very easy to get caught up in thinking that we're special or something, and we're not. I mean, no offense to anyone who thinks that you are. You're special in your own way. If your mom says you're special, you're wonderful. But I'm not saying it in that negative way, but my point is, you know, we're just people who chose a field. I'm just somebody who is interested in law and decided they wanted to be a lawyer and did what I had to do to get here. And part of it is, yes, I worked hard and got good marks. And part of it is just dumb luck. You know, I happened to get in. I don't think that there's any kind of superiority in it at all. I don't think that there's anything inherently superior about me for that. And I don't want to be the kind of person that thinks that. I don't know. That's something that has been very important to me from the day I started law school. I always want to remain humble. I always want to remember that I didn't get here alone. I worked hard, yes, and I'm the one that did the homework, but I didn't get here by myself, and I will not get anywhere in life without other people. I want to always be grateful, and I think that that's something that we as law students really have to keep in mind. Be grateful. Be thankful that you got the opportunity that you did, and never forget that there's always something more to learn. You know, you don't know everything that there is to know at any point in your life. Always keep learning. Always stay humble enough that you keep learning and improving yourself. I think that's the greatest gift that you can give any of your clients or the world in general, is to always keep bettering yourself. You know, I want my clients to be comfortable and confident knowing that I know what I'm doing, but I want them to also know and be assured that if I don't know, I will figure it out. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything and make bad decisions because I'm too proud to admit that I don't know. For me, anyway, I do think it's very difficult to remain humble in this industry, and it doesn't make you a bad person for thinking that you're so wonderful. I'm not saying like be unconfident or something, or that these people are terrible people. They're not at all. It's just not, personally for me, it's not the kind of person that I want to be. So I really make an effort to remain humble and stay true to the person that I am. Another thing about law school that I've been told is that it has made me better at arguing. My boyfriend tells me all the time that I always will tell him that his arguments don't make sense, or he doesn't have examples and evidence to support it, and that's probably true. It's probably true. I do think that since being in law school, you know, you analyze so many cases, and you talk about good arguments and bad arguments and this and that, and I think I've become better at picking out good arguments. When somebody says something, I can tell more easily if it doesn't make sense, if it's not a valid argument, or if they don't have some evidence to support it. I'm like, nah, that's not gonna work here anymore. I think now I make a better effort to make reasoned arguments in times that are probably extremely unnecessary, but I do think I'm more rational now. Like I have kind of that, I mean, for better or for worse, I have more of an analytical mindset. I think about arguments in a more legalistic way, which is not always necessary or a good thing at all. But I do think it makes me less emotional when I argue. Like when I'm having a discussion with somebody or a disagreement, I think I make more reasoned arguments. My ideas are more rational, and I'm able to, you know, make a point and support it with something, and it kind of flows as a better argument. Again, not all the time, and it's not always a good thing. Not every person in your personal life who has no legal experience wants to have a legal debate with you, so keep that in mind. But I definitely think that I have gotten a little bit better at making rational, reasonable arguments. And if all else fails, I just correct the other person's grammar like I normally do. So there's that too. You can always fall back on that. The last point I will make is I think law school can easily get the best of you if you let it. You really have to, and I've said this in all of my videos probably, you really have to take the time to spend time with people outside of law school, to call your mom or your grandma and talk to them about their life and about what's going on outside of law school. Because it's really easy to get sucked into thinking that this is your whole life, this is everything. It's good to have the mindset of being in law school, and to enjoy it and be invested, but there is a whole world outside of law school. It's not the be-all end-all, and I think when times are tough and you're really struggling with your courses or you're stressed out or something, the fact that there is a world outside of law school can give you a little bit of a break. It can give you some kind of peace of mind knowing that there's other things going on in the world that are more important, or just different than what you're going through, and it's okay. Don't get so caught up in everything that you kind of lose sight of the big picture. And I would say as well, kind of going back to my whole being better at arguing thing, don't let kind of your newfound skills and your newfound way of looking at the world get in the way of the relationships that you have. So yes, I might be a more reasoned arguer, but I also don't want to have, these legalistic debates with everyone all the time. I don't want people to think that I think I'm better than them or something, or that because I make a good argument that I'm right. That's not necessarily true. There are times that I argue with someone or have a disagreement with somebody, and I'm definitely not right. I'm just better at arguing, and I think you have to kind of keep that in mind. It sounds ridiculous, but you do have to keep that in mind. It's great that you have a new way of looking at the world, but use it for positive things. Don't use it to kind of separate yourself in a way that makes people think that you think you're better than them. Or again, it always goes back to that for me, but don't let it get in the way of your relationships. Don't think that everything outside of law school is so inferior or it just doesn't matter. That's not true at all. So use what you've learned when it's needed and in a good way. Don't throw it in people's faces all the time just to make them think that you're so smart. You can sometimes, it's okay sometimes, but try not to do that all the time. They might not like you if you do. Lawyers kind of already have a bad reputation, so don't add that to it, I think overall, law school can change you in great ways and in more negative ways. I think the most important thing for you to do and the best thing that you can do is remember who you are, remember the kind of person that you want to be, and stick to that, and you'll be just fine. So yeah, that is everything for this video. I really hope that this helps you understand how law school changes you, or I hope that it gives you a little bit of insight, maybe helps you be a little bit more self-aware if you're already in law school or for when you start law school. It's kind of an interesting topic. I liked kind of delving into this a little bit to prepare for the video. So let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments below, if you're in law school already, how you think it's changed you or not changed you. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope it's really helpful for you, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.